I've made a previous video about that. No, I do not. The state says I can be my own design professional because I own this dirt. They said I need a contractor for the plumbing and electrical. No, I do not. I can be my own contractor. I own this dirt. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we are back, and today's video is about the lawsuit that has been filed in the 11th Circuit Court. Here it is. Now, I will link down below a PDF of this, at least I'll try to. So down here, you see Michael Garcia PA. This is who he is. So if you need an attorney who specializes in a case similar to mine, here's Michael Garcia, garciapa.com. And these are his services: municipal law, construction liens, business law, among other things. And this is Michael right here, and choosing says you can go to his website and you can read through all that stuff. He has been a great attorney so far, and hopefully that continues. But let's go into, you already know the parties, venue, and jurisdiction. Judicial branch has jurisdiction, the court has jurisdiction. So here's general allegations. Miami-Dade is authorized under the law of the state of Florida to maintain a code enforcement department. Again, these are all the things here. You can read through that stuff. This is just general stuff. So here's count one: violation of plaintiff's expectation of privacy, Miami-Dade County. Plaintiff, which is myself and my wife, but myself. Plaintiffs hereby re-allege paragraph 1 through 16 as if fully set forth herein, and further alleges as follow. This is an action for damages pursuant to State Code 934.50. Now you guys will be able to see what this is. So I believe I have it right here, chapter 934. Now you guys remember I did a video on this. I'll try to link it right over here. That video is about law enforcement and code enforcement. If you look here on definitions, this is definitions. Down here it says the definition of a law enforcement agency is police, and then here also local government code enforcement. The state of Florida legislatures and lawmakers do a very broad definition of a drone, and they put in quotations, of course, just to give it one definition, but it encompasses a lot of things. So Google Maps, for instance, would be considered a drone under these conditions. Miami-Dade County does use, right here, this is part of the citation, they do use Google Maps or some type of satellite aerial surveillance to issue citations. If they're doing it to me, the chances are they're doing it to everybody. They're going to do whatever they want, and there's nothing that we can do about it. The only people who have power over them is a judge or a jury, because the mayor is not doing anything about it. If good people do not assume power, they will be ruled by evil people or less than good people, people who are not worthy. I don't want to live in a socialist and communist society. And in Miami-Dade County, that is exactly what we are. And I'm going to, in this video, I'm going to go ahead and show you how I'm being taxed to death and how everybody's being taxed to death. But specifically me, you're going to see how egregious it is. But let's go back to the lawsuit that has been filed. So this was filed in Cinco de Mayo. Let's go back up here. He filed 5-5 Cinco de Mayo. We go down to the count one. This is an action for damages pursuant to what you just saw, aerial surveillance, pursuant to the United States Constitution and Florida State Constitution. Plaintiffs have an expectation of privacy regarding their property, not to be surveilled by the government. Pursuant to that code that you just read, plaintiffs have an expectation of privacy regarding their property, not to be surveilled by the government. It is illegal for a person, a state agency, a political subdivision to use drone equipped with an imaging device to record an image of privately owned real property or of the owner, tenant, occupant, invitee, or licensee of such property with the intent to conduct surveillance on the individual or property captured in the image without written consent or a search warrant. Code Enforcement Inspector number 2 illegally used drone equipment over plaintiff's property and obtained aerial photos of the property for an illegal investigate at an alleged code violation. In addition, Miami-Dade, the Code Enforcement Department and the Code Enforcement Inspectors have also violated State Section 162.06 Florida statute, state section, and also 125.69 4B. Now these are basically the exact same thing. They're just in two different areas. That's how important it is. And if we go over here to 162, it'll go right away. A code inspector may not initiate enforcement proceedings for a potential violation of a duly enacted code or ordinance by way of an anonymous complaint. Now, over here is where the complaint is. These two, this one was closed. This one over here was anonymous the day before this law went into effect, but they didn't investigate anything well after. But this was over here because they knew they had done something wrong, so they went ahead and opened up a case, and they put the name of the code enforcement officer on there. So if I go up here, and you can see that's 9-2 here and 9-1. I guess they did 2. But the whole thing is, let's go to the earlier one, 9-1. Here, it's Deshaun Williams. You can see the address. So they think they're clever. It's not anonymous. The only thing is, Deshaun Williams cannot be the complainter because she's a government code enforcement inspector and she's a government employee. That goes into the surveillance. They cannot initiate any type of investigation. So they can't come out and look at it and then say, okay, that's not part of the investigation. The moment you come out to my property and you look, that's an investigation. A neighbor has to be the one to initiate the complaint, so then you can come out and look. You can't just come out and look, and that's what they're saying they did. Now, they said that there was an anonymous complaint. Then I was like, then why doesn't it say anonymous here? They said a neighbor complaint. Then why is the neighbor's name not on here? Because that's not true. Just remember that law enforcement is allowed to lie to you. They are allowed to lie to you. And I think up to recently, they're allowed to lie to kids. And that's not gonna fly for long if that's true. I was watching something with Lado's Law, and he was talking about how it's not cool for police officers to be able to lie to minors. But I think as of right now, it's still allowed. But that's going to make its way through the. Anyway, I don't think that's going to fly. But here, they're allowed to lie to you, so they're lying to me because I know my neighbors didn't complain, and I know that what they do is they drive around and have proof of that. They've admitted to that. The whole thing is, she cannot be the code inspector itself cannot be the complainter, because they would have had to investigate it, then make the complaint. That's not the way it works. And that's the law was written for multiple reasons, but this is one of the big ones, because the state of Florida lawmakers knew that local government, to gain more money and get more in taxes, and this is, I remember a lot of these things I refer to as tax. Your registration for your car, that's a tax. You might as well call it what it is. Certificate of use, it's a tax. Anything that you pay a fee to the government, it's a tax. And if they call it something different, now you're not being taxed 2 or 3 times for the same thing. It's for something different, right? Because in America, we're not supposed to be double taxed for the same thing. Well, what they do is they get clever and they change the names. And most people just let it go, pay the taxes. It's not the end of the world, but let us be free. There it is. She is the complainter, code enforcement official. Can inspectors come onto private property and begin to take film without approaching the door and knocking and asking for permission?
Onto somebody's property without permission, or operating procedures
Right.
say no.
Yeah.
They can do it from a sidewalk.
Correct, from a sidewalk. I know we can't do anonymous complaints anymore.
Correct. There's a state law.
Right. Can the county or an inspector be a complainter?
We can open up cases in our names. Well, if I see a violation that needs to be addressed, life safety issue or anything, yes, we can.
Right.
We do open it up with our name because it has to have a name on there.
Right, and it has to be, but does it has to meet the criteria of life safety or environmental safety, or just anything?
It could be something as simple as a commercial vehicle on the right ways.
Okay.
Anything that we observe, aesthetics, we do stress aesthetics. Aesthetics, we do stress aesthetics. Aesthetics, we do stress aesthetics.
That is in violation of this state statute. As a result of Code Enforcement Inspector Number 2's actions, plaintiffs have been damaged in excess of $50,000. I'm suing for a ridiculous amount of money, but in the courts, you just have to say in excess of this amount. And in this case, my attorney put in excess of $50,000 because that's the way it's supposed to be titled. We deal with the amount later. All conditions precedent to commence this lawsuit have occurred, been executed, or have been waived. And it goes on and goes on and goes on. Now here's count 3, trespass on land. Code Enforcement Inspector Number 1. Plaintiffs hereby reallege paragraph 1 through 16, all that stuff. On February 28, 2023, Code Enforcement Inspector Number 1 entered upon plaintiff's property to conduct an illegal investigate an alleged code violation. Plaintiffs have a video recording of the inspector entering their property and take photos. And that's what you see all the way down here at the bottom. This one right here. There it is. And they came on and took pictures without a warrant. They investigated without a warrant, and that is illegal. Plaintiffs never gave Miami-Dade or its agent employees any of that permission. That is correct. No search warrant was issued. That is correct. And we are suing in excess of $50,000. So here's count 5, emergency injunctive relief. All VIP hereby re-alleged paragraphs 1 through 29 and 51 through 58 as if fully set forth herein and further. Now, this is all legal jargon, and the way that they do this is very consistent with the way the courts like it and the way it's been done traditionally. I don't understand why they do things this way. It seems very dry. It seems very repetitive, but this is the way judges like to read it. This is the way everybody likes to read it in the legal system. So this is the way it's done, but here it is. This is an action seeking emergency injunctive relief to prevent Miami-Dade and its code enforcement inspector from any further violation of plaintiff's constitutional rights, civil rights, property rights, and rights under State Code 934.50. Again, that's the illegal surveillance using a drone. In relevant part, this code states as follows: an aggrieved party may initiate a civil action against a law enforcement agency to obtain all appropriate relief in order to prevent or remedy a violation of this section. The owner, tenant, occupant, invitee, or licensee of privately owned real property may initiate a civil action for compensatory damages for violations of this section and may seek injunctive relief to prevent future violations of this section against a person, state agency, or political subdivision that violates paragraph 3B. That's actually what's written in the code. When you come back over here and read it, here it is, 3B. A person, a state agency, so all that down here. Again, you guys know all this stuff because you've seen it in previous videos. So that's that. That's where we're at. And it goes on into more stuff. I don't want to bore you guys. I don't want to make this video too long. But there it is. We have filed a lawsuit. Now, it's important that you understand I have 10 different ways of suing the county. First Amendment violation, Fourth Amendment violations, deprivation of rights in the state of Florida for owner-builder. They kept, and I have video, I have audio, I have evidence of everything. They told me I need a design professional.
I really don't have much latitude. Like I said, there's certain things that you're definitely going to need to get a design professional.
I've made a previous video about that. No, I do not. The state says I can be my own design professional because I own this dirt.
Our director of code enforcement, is supportive of it. He worked on it, and this will actually provide him with the ability to enter the home and inspect. Yes.
Say that again?
That's what this chapter is all about. Design professionals. There. So exceptions. No person shall be required to qualify as an architect in order to make plans. What? No person shall be required to qualify as an architect in order to make plans and specifications for or supervise the erection, enlargement, or alteration of. Here we go. This is state law. All right. Any one family or two family resident building, townhouse or domestic building, pertinent to any one family or two family residence, regardless of cost. They said I need a contractor for the plumbing and electrical. No, I do not. I can be my own contractor. I own this dirt. So first, this is on Miami-Dade County's website, right here. Owner-builder permits. What is an owner-builder permit? Miami-Dade County offers permits to individuals who are performing work on their property without the benefit of a contractor. Additionally, an owner-builder may apply for any trade permit, including building, roofing, electrical, plumbing, gas and mechanical, with no additional requirements or certifications necessary. This is huge. That's part of my lawsuit. I was denied that. They denied me owner-builder permits based on contractor and design professionals, stuff like that. They have denied me freedom of the press. They've tried to have me arrested, but that one can't be done because nothing really happened, so there's nothing there. They have given me insufficient public records that they overcharged me, and they tried to give me some money back, and they did. They actually gave me like $30-something back or whatever. I was like, dude, whatever. I'll see you in court. You did not give me what I requested. I have evidence of all of that. I have evidence of what you give me. It's all, they like to do it by email. Excellent. Now there's electronic proof, like email proof of what they're doing. They have denied me my certificate of use, which is also illegal, but that's fine. I played their ballgame. I was like, give me a certificate of use for my Airbnb. Since all this has happened, and I've been requesting since September of 2021 a certificate of use so I can post my Airbnb on Airbnb and make some money, they have denied it, saying that I had unpaid violations. That is untrue. To this day, I do not have unpaid violations because to this day, it is still being contested. And because what they're doing is illegal. That is the reason their laws are written the way that they are. But yet they go ahead and do that. So Miami-Dade County has been renting out my Airbnb for almost 2 years. Every night. It's $250 a night plus a $75 cleaning fee. It's $250 a night plus a $75 cleaning fee that you have taken away from me. That right there is compensatory. That's real damages that they have cost me. Now, I can go after every individual that has ever touched this case, has ever opined on this case. County attorneys, decision makers from inspectors to chief inspectors to assistant directors to directors. I can go after all of them individually, punitively, for what they have taken away from me. For taking away my right to live as an American on my dirt. I did everything according to the scope of the law, just not according to the way that you personally like it, because you want to be the HOA of Miami-Dade County there, and then you guys want to send a message and say, don't you forget who the boss is here. The county, the government's the boss. And I'm fighting back and saying, no sir, we the people, we are the boss. That's why we elect people who write laws to defend against people like you, communists, socialists like you. So I'm coming after you. Here's the evidence. It has been filed. Now, we've only started with these two. We're going to add everything as we go. But we're going to give them a chance. They're going to come to the negotiation tables. They're going to meet my terms, or we just take it to trial. I have no issue with that. They're going to say, oh, well, we can push it back for 10 years. Yes, you can. But I'm running for office. And the news is going to want to pick this up because they know that the more you push it off, the more you're trying to hide. And this is public. This is of public concern. This is of public interest. And I'm just going to keep writing about it. Take all the time you want. We're just going to get stronger. We're going to keep investigating. So I already know you're going to settle, and you're going to settle on my terms. They will be reasonable, but they will be strong. Anyway, all that. Let's move on and show you a little bit more. So that's done with this. I wanted to show you guys that we're going to go ahead and we've already filed this lawsuit, and there's more. There's a lot more coming. This is just we're dipping the toe in the water, get a taste of where they're at and how they respond. So here's the other thing I wanted to show you guys. This is the way it works here in Miami-Dade County. So here is, let's see if we can go to it. Let's see. Here is my house. I'm on the property appraiser's office, or the property search. Let's see exactly what it is. It is the property search. So miamidade.gov, property search, all that stuff. This is my home. Now check this out. And I want you guys to see this, right? You already guys know already all this stuff. It does show it's a 3-2. When I bought it, it was promoted as a 4-3 because it is physically a 4-3. So that does show still here that is a 3-2. So the permits were not taken out for this other property, clearly. But that's not, how am I supposed to know that when I buy the property? And I get it, they say you assume all that. I don't think it's fair, but whatever. They still can't issue me a citation based on area surveillance, and I know it can't be seen from the street. So when we bought the property, we bought it for $342,000. And if you look back here on 2020, the assessed value at the time was $90,000. That's what the property was assessed at. That's what you paid taxes on. And then when you do your homestead exemption, it was $40,000, right? Now, we didn't know much about the homestead exemption at the time. And I think when we bought it, it was done for us. The homestead exemption. So in 2021 we didn't apply for it, and we're like, oh man, our taxes went up. But really the taxes went up because look at the value of the house that they took it up to. The assessed value of the house went from, let's go here, went from $90,000 before homestead exemption up to $289,500 roughly dollars. And then we didn't apply for the homestead exemption there like idiots because we didn't realize we had to. And then in 2022 we did, but look at the value of the house, how it went up. $387,000. And then when we do our homestead exemption, we're paying taxes on $337,000. So in a matter of 2 years, it went from paying taxes on a $40,000 assessment of the home to $337,000. And you know what? I got no issues with that. I'll pay my taxes. I know it's not like that for everybody else, because if I click on, let's say, this neighbor's house that's actually worth more, than my house. They're paying $241,000 assessed value, and they were at $199 back in 2020, where mine was back at $90,000. They were at $199,000, and probably because this house may have sold in 2012 it sold at 2012. I guess it did. Here's the sale 2004 for $185,000, and then 2012 something was adjusted, financial institution or in lieu of foreclosure stated. Oh, so because of foreclosure in 2012 it sold for $80,000, so that should have gone down. So they're paying this year, and I guess they're not doing their homestead exemption. Maybe it's owned by a company and they Airbnb it out. I don't know. $241,000. That's that property. Let's go to this property. They're paying that property, which is across the street from me. They're paying assessed value. They're also not doing the Homestead Exemption Act because honestly, they probably don't even know about it. But they're paying $233,000. And then if I go to this property, which is right next door to me, they're paying in 2022. They're paying $48,000. That's interesting. And they bought the house back in 2011 for $96,000. And I applaud them. I'm happy for them. They're paying $48,000. That's their tax, and they're doing the Homestead Exemption Act, Homestead Exemption. I'm sorry, and they're paying taxes on $48,000. I don't understand how these things work. Just know that I'm paying $300,000 more I'm being taxed on $300,000 more when we basically have, now I do have more land, about half an acre more than they do. I do have a full acre. So again, we go back to my property. It's basically, see, that's 1/2 acre and then another 1/2 acre. These were put together. Now I caught something. It took 2 years. We were finally able to put it together. As far as the property appraiser understood, it is a 1 acre because it always showed 45,000 square feet. If you look over here, so we own an acre, basically two plots of 1/2 acres, which is what a lot of people have here. This is a 1/2 acre. This is a 1/2 acre. This is a 1/2 acre. You know, so these are not quite 1/2 acres. I don't think. You can see how they narrow in. But the whole thing is, we own an acre, but we're paying taxes on that. But if you look back at 2020 when we bought the property, it was $40,000, just like the previous ones, right? So why it goes up for us and not for anybody else, I don't know. Here's the one that pisses me off, though. You see this lake? This is 520,500 square feet. It's roughly about 13 acres, maybe a little shy, because we own a very small piece of it. We own this part of the lake, and everybody here owns a very small piece of the lake. This condo association owns a small piece, but this lake is landlocked. But it is zoned. Here's the thing: it is zoned RU1. It's zoned single family use right here. Land information, muni zone RU1, single family use. You can build a house on this lake, but just one house because that's what it's zoned for. This just sold last year, July of last year, for $1.5 million. I think they're idiotic. I don't know how they convince these people to do it. It's completely landlocked. But of course, they're going to try to do something because up here in this lake they're trying to develop it now. And let me see if I can get out a little bit. And the thing about this lake, it's owned by a developer, just like my lake is. And they bought these two houses over here, and now they're going to do a land bridge over here, and they're going to do a community apartment building community here, but it's only for rent. You can't buy the apartment units. You can only rent in this area, and they're trying to fight it. And this is the corruption of Miami-Dade County. They're actually considering it, and that's wrong. We have flooding issues, and they just want to make it worse by filling in these are man-made lakes. Back in the 40s and 50s, they were pulling dirt out of here to build downtown Miami, and they made these man-made lakes, and that turned out to be a great thing for our flooding situation. And if they start filling in all these lakes, well, because they want to fill mine in, they want to fill this one in, they want to fill in that big one. There's another one way over here. This guy who owns this lake. It's another developer. You can see him over here, Lakeview Estate Unit 1, RRZ Developer LLC. They're trying to fill this in. So he owns this corner and he owns this entrance here. This right here is also owned by RRZ. I've been looking into this stuff. They want to do an entrance here. They want to do all these things and fill in these lakes. So these lakes are going bye-bye. Because I'm telling you right now, the people don't win in Miami-Dade County. Developers win. You want my proof? I'll show you my proof. Let's go back to my lake. You already saw what I pay in taxes. Now look what these guys pay in taxes. So it's zoned RU1. You can put a single family home. There's no entrance. This is all county park over here. This is a county owned building over here. There's no entrance, but they'll find a way to get an entrance because they pay the politicians in Miami-Dade County, and the politicians do them favors so they can do things like that. Remember, politicians don't live in these areas. The mayor of Miami-Dade County lives in Pinecrest. I know exactly where she lives. I've said this before in a previous video. A good buddy of mine is a developer, and he lives right next door to her. He's got a $15 million home. So he's literally right next door to her. I know exactly where she lives. I'll never make that public, but I know exactly where she lives, and I know she's an attorney. I know the crowd she runs with. Again, I love this mayor. I genuinely think when it comes to attorneys, I'm not a big fan of attorneys in general. Some are really good. Most are not that great. But I do spend the vast of my friends are attorneys, but they can be hard people. They see the law and they see things black and white. And I'm an artist. I don't see it that way. But we're still friends, and I love them to death, right? So here's the whole thing. Back in 2020, the previous owners, you can say that this sold last year, it was DACA Management. I actually have the cell phone number of the CEO for that one. And I was able to find the cell phone number of the CEO of Martin Courier. It's not Martin Courier because that's a previous. It's the people that bought it is over here. It's Royalty Trust, Florida Trust Services, which is previously Royalty Trust. The guy doesn't know I have it, but I have his personal cell phone number because I know how to research. I'm the king of research. Wasn't obtained illegally. I just know how to follow paperwork and paper trails. So I have that guy's cell phone number. Eventually I'll reach out to him because I want to buy this lake. The whole thing is he's an idiot for buying it for 1.5 unless they know that there's a good chance that they can get that filled in and they're taking a small risk. Business people don't take big risks. But anyway, if they can fill that in, then 1.5 million is a dream price. But they didn't account for me. Nobody saw me coming. And anyway, here we go. So check out what they're paying here. Back in 2020, they were paying taxes on an assessed value of $6,571, and then here it is. There's no exemption on this because it's not a homestead. So it doesn't homestead doesn't account for this, which could be the issue for some other people. But I know some of my neighbors aren't doing a homestead exemption because they don't know. They must not know about it because I know that's their primary home. But anyway, look what they're paying now. $185. So they're paying a millage or a tax on an assessed value of $185 on a zone property that's just like mine and is sold last year for $1.5 million. Meanwhile, I'm over here getting taxed to death, not complaining about it yet. When it was in 2020, I paid taxes on an assessed value of $40,000, but they said, hey, here comes this guy who's middle class, because between my wife and I, we do well enough. It's not like we're super rich. We don't have a lot of money in our savings account. We invest everything into the businesses and the house and our hobbies. We don't have kids. That helps out a lot. Any of you who have kids, you know that's all 60% of your money is just gone right there to kids. And that's after what you've been taxed, right? So anyways, the whole thing is they upped us from 40,000. That's a big jump. That's not a small jump. That's a massive jump. Now, nothing has been determined. There's no additions to the house. We did put hurricane impact windows. That cost us $40,000. So I'm using less power than most other people, not necessarily in my neighborhood, or at least the same. Our electric bill is anywhere from $150 a month to $300 a month, depending on how many people are staying here with us when they come to visit. I put in a dryer that doesn't have a heating element. It's a dehumidifier. It takes the clothes way longer to dry, but it doesn't use as much power. Every light bulb that I have is LED. Now we have over 300 light bulbs, but they're all 1 watt. The whole thing is nothing has been added to the house that would constitute such a raise in that value. So not only are they denying me my ability to make money because they wanted to shut down my business, they shut down my Airbnb before I even have a chance to get started. So they cost me money there. They did cost me money in the business because they told me to shut it down and not operate it, and then I was just doing stuff on donation based and free or whatever. And even there, they were like, you got to stop that. I was like, you know what, this has gone too far. It's time that I fight back. They raised my taxes crazy amounts. Again, I'll pay my taxes, but you want to take away my ability to make money illegally. And then developers, the people who are rich, who contribute to your campaigns, they get a break. But regular people like me don't. This is why I have to run for mayor. Don't want to be mayor, but this is why I have to. Because if we do not come together as a people in Miami-Dade County, we will suffer more and more loss. And the more money they take off out of your pocket, the less opportunity your kids have. You can't send them to good schools. Schools get astronomically expensive. It was astronomically expensive when I was when I went to college. It's astronomically more expensive now. Good luck buying a home. We got in at 2020. My property is worth $2.5 million. Now, other people out there are like looking, they're saying, it is worth $2.5 million. That's the cost. That's what it will cost to get me out of here. That's right now. Next year, I'll put it up at $3 million. I live in paradise. Good luck finding a home in Miami-Dade County like mine. We made it our own. I put in my swing set. I put in, and I did everything legally. As far as when I read the law, and I called and I asked questions, I'm allowed to do a tree house. I'm allowed to do a deck 18 inches or lower. I did all that. I was allowed to do a tiki. I presented the Seminole card of the people who put it in. I put it in with them, but they did it. It's their card. They provided the materials, and they came out here and they allowed me to join in and do it with them. So I always say that I did. Everything that I've done has been within the scope of the law. When I applied for permits, I was denied it because they want design professional contractors. And I was like, that's not the law. You guys want to break the law? I'm going to enjoy my property because I have a homeowner's bill of rights in the state of Florida. It says I can enjoy my property. Anyway, that's 2 things for this video. I'm going to try to shorten all this up by editing it. I love you guys. I appreciate you.
Sorry, I didn't understand that.
I love my wife. I'll see you tomorrow.